Hi guys, so today I want to talk about, we want to take a deep dive into a subject that we call semen retention or sexual transmutation. So this is going to be kind of deep, so these guys who are sitting at the back, you need to pay attention. So somebody asked me, one of my followers asked me what semen retention is all about. And I'm going to talk about it today. So one thing we have to acknowledge is that most of us who have adopted the kind of Western lifestyle and Western medicine, the modern medicine as we know it, there are some certain aspects that, sorry about the noise, I think there's some construction going on. So there's some certain aspects where Western medicine fails or has shortcomings and tends to be superficial. And this is the area of semen retention. I'll give you an example. If you look at death, for example, normally somebody is declared dead when all bodily functions cease. No pulse rate, there's no heartbeat. All your organs have stopped working. So you're declared dead. If you look at the Hindus, for example, they go beyond the bodily functions, because if you look at a dead person, 5 days after somebody is dead, you know that their hair is still growing, even their nails is still growing. So how can you be dead if your nails and your hair is growing? Which part of your body is in charge of these functions of growth? So that's something to think about, and that's why the Hindus, they talk about prana. Prana is the breathing force, but they talk about, that's just the respiratory. They also break it down into apana, udana, samana, and so on. So it's much, much deeper. Of course, I won't cover it all here, but that's just a note to realize that there are aspects of Western medicine that are not, they're not deep enough, because Western medicine largely treats human beings as biological beings. But we are also conscious beings. That's the difference between the West and the Orient. We are also conscious beings. And when you talk about sexual semen retention, you're talking about how you can enhance your consciousness. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. If you compare the man and the woman biologically, a woman, of course, gets an egg once a month, okay? They ovulate once a month. And if they don't get pregnant, the egg is washed out. It is washed away through menstruation. Contrary to that, a man develops sperms, okay? And if the sperms are not ejaculated, okay, they are not swept away. And the sperm can be retained in the body, maybe used for other things, which we are going to talk about. So that's one thing you have to realize. The difference between men and women is that for women, the egg is washed away and then they produce new ones and so on. But men, semen is retained. Now, when a man ejaculates, normally you have endorphins. There is dopamine, there is oxytocin that is released. And the main culprit for men normally is dopamine. Dopamine is a feel-good hormone. It makes you not want to assert yourself. It makes you just want to relax and to sleep and to enjoy the feeling of goodness. And this makes men lose their aggression. And that is why you have, in sports, you have training camps. Training camps, the objective of training camps is to separate men from women and also to sharpen their focus on the task at hand. And if you look even at the history of Mike Tyson, the first fight he lost, he spent the previous night with girls in Japan and so on. So he did not have the aggression that he normally has. Now I'm going to talk about some very fundamental things. When you look at, okay, first of all, in terms of the literature, the Hindus and the Japanese, they're the ones who talk about this the most. And when you talk to the Western authors, there's Napoleon Hill. There is Think and Grow Rich. He talks about sexual transmutation. And even Outwitting the Devil, I believe it's also Napoleon Hill. So what happens is that as men, when you retain your sperm, okay, first of all, this is something that I talk about in Unplugged too. And it is also important to note that men experience a lot of frustration when they don't have an outlet for their sexual desires or feelings. And if you look at the people who, this is Unplugged too, I can read some of the passages. If you look at the people who have been engaged, particularly the young men who've engaged in killing people, most of them were incels. Incel is a short form of involuntary celibate. Someone who is celibate, not because they have chosen celibacy, but because they have no girlfriends, they have no women, they have no outlet for their sexual energy. I'm going to read a few passages. In 2015, Chris Harper, a 26-year-old man, fatally shot 8 students and a professor in Roseburg, Oregon. He was an incel. In 2014, Elliot Roger, a 20-year-old man, he killed 6 people and injured 14 others by stabbing, shooting, and vehicle ramming in California. He was also an incel. In 1989, Mark Lepine, a 25-year-old Canadian, he killed 14 women and injured an equal number of at a polytechnic in Canada. He was also an incel. So many men, particularly men who have had difficulties with women, they end up hating women. If you're socially awkward, you can't approach a woman, you cannot get access to sex. They end up hating women, they think women are bad people, and they kill them. And also, this is why I also want to talk about this. Many young men today who cannot get women, they say that they're in a semen retention program, but in reality, it is just a buffer. Instead of admitting that they're having challenges, they pretend they are retaining their sperm. So that should not be the case. As a man, your biological imperative is to spread your seeds. So if you have a challenge with women, that is something you need to address, and there are many ways of addressing it. You can talk to me and so on. But more importantly, young men are also discouraged from masturbation, because masturbation is also a buffer. It's just like people who cannot speak in front of people, and you have to take alcohol before you can get your confidence. So even masturbation, because the videos and the pictures you're looking at, they cannot reject you, but real women can reject you, so you resort to masturbation. It is not a solution to the problem that you're having. Now, the Catholics who have celibacy as part of their practices, they sort of understood semen retention and sexual transmutation, because when a man contains his sexual energy, he can channel it to creative efforts. And many men may testify to this. The longer you take without having sex, you'll realize the more mental clarity you have, the more focus you have, the more you're able to go with your goals, after your goals, with a stronger form of aggression and focus. And you will also notice men, and you see this among newly married couples, many men who start getting sex regularly, that means they are getting their dopamine very regularly. They tend to get out of shape. They become very relaxed and very soft. Okay, that's why you'll see many men start getting fat and obese after getting married. It's because of the dopamine that they get from the regular sex. And that's why sometimes people say women are dream killers and things like that. So that is very, very important. When you preserve your dopamine, you can be able to channel your sexual energy to creative pursuits. But it's also very important to understand that you need to have a purpose. It's not just a matter of channeling or repressing, but the sexual energy is not supposed to be repressed. It's only supposed to be channeled. And when you channel it, you can actually achieve a lot of your creative pursuits, and even just in terms of personal fulfillment, boosting your immunity, your levels of consciousness, and so on. The Cantos of Ezra Pound, the Cantos by Ezra Pound, for example, was written in prison. Even Nelson Mandela wrote some of his best books in prison. There's a French libertarian also who wrote 12 novellas and 20 poetry books when he was in prison. So you have to realize that when you channel your sexual, and that's why we talk about sexual transmutation, when you channel your sexual energy, you can transmute it into various forms. And this goes further. You remember, In one ejaculation, a man releases between 40 million and 500 million sperm cells. So, and remember in physics, okay, a cell is just an atom, it's just a cell, okay? But if you look at, for example, how an atomic bomb is created, when you release the energy in a cell or from an atom in a controlled fashion, that's how you end up with an atomic bomb. So in the same way, even the semen that a man releases, and the Hindus believe it contains what is called prana. The Chinese call it chi, the Japanese call it ki. So when even in physics, you say energy can either be created or destroyed. And remember, those things we're calling them sperms, if you look at it, it's just like a liquid, like some sort of a mucus. But that's what creates a human being. A human being actually emerges from that. So it's very, very important to realize the potency of semen retention, okay? So the Hindus, the yogis, and you'll notice even among the Akorinos and other practices like the Sikhs, you notice they don't shave their hair and so on. It's basically behind the idea of when you retain what is coming from your body, there's a way in which you can recycle it and it builds up on your energy. So that is what semen retention is about. It is not supposed to be an excuse for not interacting with the women, and you're not supposed to repress your sexual energy because it can come out in form of very bad aggression and even depression for some. It is supposed to be done in a controlled way for short periods of time, and you channel it towards creative pursuits. So that is what sexual transmutation is all about, and that is what semen retention is about. It's not supposed to be, and many young men are encouraged to think about and to practice semen retention because most of them are engaging in a lot of masturbation and thinking that women or having women is the most important thing. So I think that I've covered everything there that is there to say about sexual transmutation. There is much more about the topic. Breathing exercises. You need to understand the composition of the breakdown of a human being. Even I've mentioned some, the prana, the ayana, and so on. So if it's something you're interested in, you can go deeper. But at the surface level, you can see men normally observe this in training camps. There's a reason for that. If you look at guys like Eliud Kipchoge, they leave their families behind. They go to Kaptagar. They train there for several months when they have a big marathon coming up. That is part of sexual semen retention. And it's a way of focusing your energy and your aggression towards the pursuit of a particular goal. That's actually a hidden superpower many men have. If you understand it, you can become Superman. You can make yourself unstoppable. So that's a very important thing. I'll see you guys on the next one.